Hello class, let's get started on assignment 4B. This is the clutch pedal. For this period, we're going to just do this main view here, the front view. Get started with the construction lines. We will create the center mark for the pivot. There it is. Create the cylinder that the pivot goes in. Let me choose the right type of circle there. Okay. And that circle's diameter is 1 3/4. D, enter, 1.75, enter. And then the hole going through it has a diameter of 1, radius of 0.5. Okay, and those dimensions are right here. You'll notice that I have included the drawing that we are doing in my AutoCAD program here. That is a doable thing. You can always bring in images into AutoCAD if you want, as long as they are PDF. Okay, so our next step, I think, is to create the lower arm of this assembly. And to do that, we're going to offset these distances, this 3.5 and then the 4-inch. So 3.5 offset, and then a 4-inch offset. Okay, scoot that over just a little bit. There you go. All right. The thickness of this arm is given by this dimension right here, this one that says 5/8. So the top of that pedal portion is 5/8 above center line. So let's do that offset. O, enter, 5/8, enter. Okay. So that is the center line. Let's just put that on the center layer for the meantime. And this one as well. The thickness of the pedal is 3/8, and then the arm beneath it is another 3/8. So we will do that offset now. O, enter, 0.375. There you go. And those dimensions are taken from right over here, right on the end over here. You can see the 3/8 and the 3/8. And there was the 5/8 there. So the pedal portion is basically this right here. It's 3/8 of an inch thick. It's 4 inches long. And now for the lower portion. And that's pretty easy. It's just a line down to that intersection and then a line to tangent. So we are going to make the assumption with all of the arm lines on this drawing that they all go to tangent. There is nothing that indicates otherwise, so that's a pretty safe assumption. This last line connecting the pedal to the body here, to the pivot, is a little tricky. So you can see there's a 1/8 inch radius that connects it, and like we said, it's definitely going to be tangent to this outer circle here. So how would you go about doing that? Well, I want to create a construction line through the midpoint, first of all. And that is where you can see the radius, that 1/8 inch radius connects. And then there is the line that it is tangent to that goes to the outer arc here. For a 1/8 inch radius, you would need a 1/4 inch diameter circle. So really what we're making here is a 1/4 inch diameter circle, or a 1/8 radius inch circle that's touching this point here, and then making a tangent line between the two. If I offset this line 1/8 of an inch, I can use the radius value. So let's do that. So we'll say O, enter 0.125. Okay, and then I'm going to go to circle, and I'm going to use an object line for this because this is going to be part of the real drawing. I'm going to click on that center point there and then the midpoint. And so now I have created that 1/8 inch radius that's in the drawing, and I just need to draw the line that is tangent to both of these. It's pretty simple. You just grab hold of that arc and go to tangent. And you can see it's close. And let me zoom in on this. Whenever you're doing these things, you can't do an initial snap to tangent because tangent is based on what's happening on the other side of the line. So your first point is just going to be somewhere off the circle. But once you have tangent on the other circle, you can then grab that line and bring it to tangent. So that's an important concept to realize. Let me demonstrate that one more time for you. There's not going to be an initial tangent snap at your disposal here. When you are first drawing a line, the very first endpoint you make has got to be on one of these quadrants. Now that you have an endpoint, you can go to another arc and tangent will be available as a snap. And then you can take this one, and it didn't have to be on the circle. It could have been anywhere, really. But now that its one end is connected to tangent, and that tangent snap is defined, you can now move this to tangent over here. And again, you could pull this one off and do the same thing here. You could move it to tangent. As long as one side is connected somewhere, then the other side will be available for a tangent snap. It's strange, but that's just how it's done. So we can trim this out now. And yeah, there you go. Okay, so the lower arm is pretty much complete. This line will be trimmed off eventually. You can see there's a 1.5 inch fillet in there, but we can't do that until we have the other arm created. And as far as the grooves in the pedal and other fillets, we will, well, we could do these fillets right now. That's pretty simple. Let's just knock those out. So the fillets on here, you can see there's a 1/4 inch on this side and 1/8 of an inch on the other. So F, enter, R, enter, and there's the 1/8, and we can grab this line and then this line, and there you go. And then the other side, F, enter, R, enter, and that's going to be 0.25 for this one. Okay, but we're going to wait to do those, the teeth in the pedal next meeting. Now the upper arm, a little more tricky. It begins with a construction line coming out of the corner here. You can see it's a 60-degree construction line. So let's go to our construction layer, type XL, enter, A, enter, and 60. And it comes right out of that corner. So that's a 60-degree construction line. And then it's going to be offset, as you can see over here, 3/8 of an inch. That's 0.375. And that's the thickness of the puck on the upper arm. So I call it a puck because it's the shape of a hockey puck, 3 inches diameter, 3/8 inches thick. All right. We need to do another offset here, this 5 1/8 of an inch offset. So we're going to offset 5 1/8, which is 5.125. Take the center line here and upward, there it is. And from that point of intersection, right there, you can see it right there, we're going to make a perpendicular line, and that is going to be the center line of the puck. So to do that, I'll just go to my centerline layer and click on that guy and make sure the perpendicular snap pops up. There it is, it's saying perpendicular. If you don't have your snaps on with perpendicular on here, that's not going to happen for you. So make sure you got that checked off. Okay, so that is the center line of the puck, and we can offset it 1.5 inches on both sides to get the outside of our puck here. So we'll do that. Oh, enter, 1.5, enter. Okay, and go to my object layer, and we can just make that, finalize that right now. There he is, the puck is in place. Okay. From the lower portion of the, I guess that really isn't a critical line to put in place, but we may come back to that later. Let's move on here. The next feature that is critical to put in place here is, believe it or not, this fillet. So we're going to do this fillet right now. So I'm going to go to my fillet command, F enter, R enter, 0.125, because all of these fillets are 1/8 of an inch unless otherwise specified. Okay, get that thing out of there. And let me zoom in on that. You're gonna see that we need to make a tangent arc to that to get to this 1 1/16 dimension. That's kind of a critical point right there, because it is the point of dimensioning. So we need to find that point and then dimension to it. So let's do that. I'm going to zoom in that a little bit tighter and make this tangent arc. So to do that, I need to offset this line, the thickness of the radius of this, which is 0.125. All right, and then again, and that will give me its diameter. So there is going to be a circle here, and draw this line perpendicular. So I could do this as a construction line or whatever. It doesn't matter, but if I click on the end of that arc and make this line perpendicular, that's important. That's gonna give me the points of my circle here. This is an important circle to make. So here's the center point, and then it goes to the edge. And it's the same radius as the fillets, and this fillet's gonna come into here like this, okay? So this is very similar to what we were doing down below on the other petal, almost identical. But that's how that's done. So I took this line here that was its edge, offset it, its radius, and then did it again. Honestly, I didn't really need to do this one, because when you're using a center point circle, you only need a center point and then an edge. Anyway, now we got to make these tangents. So it's the same thing we did before. In fact, to prove my point from before, I can just click randomly here and then snap to tangent. Get that tangent to light up. There it is. And then grab the endpoint of this and pull it to tangent. Get that tangent to light up. There it is. pull this guy off just to make my point. You can pull it off, and now tangent is going to show up. Just so it says tangent. It's interesting sometimes where they are. Sometimes they're ahead of center, sometimes they're behind center. That one was behind center. Okay, so that is that side of the arm. And now we can trim this out here. I could turn off my construction lines, just trim that out really easily on this end. And on this end, the other end, it's a fillet. So it's a big fillet. You can see here it's a 1.5 inch fillet. So let's do that. I'm going to zoom out so I don't have to keep it. Okay. So F, enter, R, enter, 1.5. It's a 1.5 inch fillet, and click that line and click that line, and there you go. Okay. So we're getting pretty close here. Pretty darn close. We need to make this other line, and it is 1/16 inch away from the point of intersection where you can see where the line over here intersects that arc. So right there, that's where it is. And it's perpendicular, that distance is measured perpendicular to the center line. So now it's time to insert that center line. I told you we'd probably have to do that at some point. So this center line running up the middle of that arm. So let's do that. And that comes from the center of the arc to the center line of the puck. Okay, so there is that center line. And this line that I'm about to make, I'll make with my construction lines on. Get rid of some of these though, so they're not confusing me. It's going to come from this endpoint right there and go perpendicular to this center line that we just made. So make sure that perpendicular snap lights up. So again, I'll do that one more time. Clicked on the endpoint of that line where it meets the arc, and then made it so it was perpendicular to this line. Made sure that perpendicular snap is showing. There it is. Okay, and now I just need to extend it so that it is a full 1/16 inches long. I don't know how long it is right now, and I don't care. I just need to make one that is 1/16. So an easy way to do that is just to draw right over it. I'll do it with a different color so it stands out. So look at this. I'm going to click on the same endpoint and go along the same line. Let me zoom in a little tighter. Let's see what I'm doing better. Stretching along the same line, and you can see that it is staying on it. It is snapping to it. As long as you have all of your snaps on, except for nearest, it snaps to the line itself. So if I were to click, it would be right on top of the previous line. Also, if I were to type a specific number, it would go right along that line and make it even longer. So that's a very easy way to extend a line, a specific distance. And the distance is 1/16, which is 1.0625. So if I simply type in 1.0625, enter, there it is. Now I have a line that is exactly 1.0625. There it is. It's rounding, of course, to 3. So I know there was a few steps here. Let's just do that one more time. So I'm clicking on this endpoint. I'm snapping to perpendicular, not horizontal, perpendicular. I don't know how long that line is, and it doesn't matter. I'm going back to the line command. I'm clicking on the same start point, but now that I have a heading, and I'm dragging along that line, I can type in any value, 1.0625, and it will extend along that same line that value. So that's how you get your distance. Okay. There's other ways to do it, but that's a pretty good way. So the last thing I need to do is make sure that the arm on this side goes through the endpoint of this line and is also tangent to this circle. So I'm going to go to my construction lines, type XL, enter, click on that endpoint, and then make sure I snap to tangent. There it is, tangent. Okay. And that's it, folks. I can just trim that out, TR, enter, trim it on both sides. And get rid of it. And then make that an object line. Perfect. And if you're not sure, pull that thing off and reattach it as tangent. Okay. That's it, guys. That's how you do it. Excellent. We can put our fillet on here before we go. F, enter, R, enter 0.125. Get this corner and get this intersection here with a slight fillet there. Extend this line back. This line we can save for dimensioning, or you could throw the dimension on there right now if you really wanted. Probably don't want to lose that mark. It's a strange place to dimension. Strange. This whole thing is dimensioned in a really odd manner. So that is the case. I'm not sure if I'm going to leave that there, to be honest, but anyway, there it is, and things are looking pretty good here. Probably a good place to stop.